comments because I heard somebody was bringing up legal arguments, and I think it's quite significant to point out a few comments on what has been said on taking picture from of houses in the street, or people in the house, people out the house. I think these are all different situations, and I think we have to clarify a little bit. I think what we are extremely worried about in the first place is the fact that through rural collection of data, also bit of communication were actually intercepted, and especially IP address, MAC address, names, surname. Sometimes, as it happened, as it was reported in France and Germany and also in Italy, some communication regarding medical records and so on and so forth. So these are personal data. Personal data have to be processed in a way that is lawful. In order to process lawfully personal data, then you need to ask in principle for the consent. And I think that was the consent that Rob Alford was talking about. If you take a picture of a house, you don't need to ask consent. Now we can argue on the fact that maybe if you take a picture of my house, of my garden, maybe I would like to have some money out of it because Google eventually is making business, so I would like to share a little bit of revenues of this business. But I think we need to focus on the fact that we are talking about personal data, and there are principles in order to fairly process and lawful personal data. And instead of that, I was called here to set a little bit of the wider situation. This is an audience from UK. I'm a member of the European Privacy Organization and also board member of the Italian Institute for Privacy. And I'm a lawyer myself, specialized in ICT. So I would like to set a wider situation and also share with you my thought on a slightly bigger problem. It's not just about Google Street View. I think we should start from Google Street View and see a little bit of the broader issue that I would like to share with you to open up the discussion. Some data, before Simon Davis pointed out to some data protection authorities that are actually investigating Google. Yes, that's right. 9 member states have actually acted, mainly through their data protection authorities, to stop Google unlawful collection of data. These are specifically Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Spain, Switzerland. Some of them has asked Google to freeze this data, as it was pointed out before. Why? In order to proceed with forensic investigation and so on and so forth. Some other of them has asked to the immediate destruction of this data. So I slightly don't completely agree on the fact that it was Google destructing the data. Sometimes it was actually asked, request through legal means to go to destroy it. But let's try to see what's the DPA's Data Protection Authority attitude towards Google. They are concerned, and I think they are right, for the breach of data protection law. They are also pretty annoyed by Google behavior. Why that? Because what happened, both with Google Buzz and also with Google Street View, is a gross data protection violation. Something that also first-year law student could prevent. But I trust Google as really good lawyer. I know some of them, they are extremely good. And I'm saying it's like, use them. There are two possible explanations of this behavior, of what happened. One that everybody tries to share in this moment is Google does not care. But I prefer to say maybe data protection has not been one of the priorities of Google in the last years. And the second one is that what happened is the result of organizational shortfalls. Eventually we have to think that Google is not an experienced player, and it is not extremely structured. I personally think the explanation lies in between these two possibilities. I think data protection has not been a great priority in the last years for Google, and also that is a little bit of organizational shortfalls. Anyway, by behaving in this way, Google has clearly become an easy target for its competitors, sometimes too easy target. Actually, I think it has recently become a quite popular sport for big companies to fight each other on privacy ground. My suggestion is to be extremely careful. It's a very risky game. Today, the victim is Google. It's an easy target, as I said. Tomorrow, it will be another ICT company. If data protection authorities actually start to dig into global companies' processing of personal data, they will find something, for sure. And here I come to the bigger problem that I mentioned at the beginning. Laws and regulation on the same matters are often not uniform around the world, and sometimes are even inconsistent. Objectively, it is very challenging, if not impossible, for a global, innovative ICT company to comply with all applicable laws in the world and keep their business up and running at fast pace. As far as data protection is concerned, more and more services are facing quite significant compliance issues related to the absence of global data protection rules and standards. One significant example is cloud computing, a sector in which I'm very much involved as a selected legal consultant for European and international projects. You can think about the European Network and Security Agency project on cloud computing risk assessment for business, or the government cloud project for government, or the cloud assurance metric international project. Cloud computing is significantly expanding, services are global, data privacy and data security are big concerns, privacy compliance is a nightmare. And a lot of big companies are involved. Think about Google itself as one of the major players, Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, Salesforce. So all I'm saying is that instead of fighting each other's, it would be more beneficial for big companies and for users especially, if they start to work on best practice together with data protection authorities and data protection commissioners. Try to set out international sustainable privacy standards. For example, they could start to work on a practical explanatory memorandum, a real one, for the international standards on protection of personal data and privacy. That's the Madrid resolution from 2009. So my question is Google prepared to be a leader on this as it is an innovation? A leader that can collect the effort of big ICT companies working together to set out privacy, international privacy sustainable standards. I really hope so, and I have to say that as a member of the European Privacy Organization, we are extremely ready to set this multidisciplinary and multi-stakeholders table for discussion. Thank you very much.